and welcome to an Everyday Canines video. We're looking at running contacts, and in this episode I want to talk to you about methods. So we've looked at what you want to see in your criteria for a running contact. Now we need to talk about the various methods, and there are an awful lot of methods out there that you can use to achieve that criteria. What I want to start by saying is that all methods have their pros and their cons, and I find that some methods work for some dogs, some methods don't, and it all depends as much as anything on the dog and its personality and how good it is at learning certain criteria. I started with the Sylvia Turkman method, where you basically get the dog to just run down a plank. Actually, you start on a flat. You start getting them, just teaching them to run in a straight line to reward, and then you transfer that onto a dog walk. And Sylvia Turkman has had amazing success with that. We cannot deny that. I found with Sparrow, just pure asking her to run, she didn't actually have any concept of what she was aiming to achieve. She was just running, but she didn't have any understanding of what the criteria was for a dog walk. Sometimes she'd leap off, and there was lots of things going on there. So it didn't really work for her. I've then used other methods. So there's they have a hoop method. Now that's a method where you have a hoop that goes over the dog walk that the dog has to run through. So effectively the dog cannot jump or leap because they're having to duck under something, if you like, but not duck necessarily, but go under there. And some people have had, really successful, they can get their dogs working with that, and that's all they need. So again, I tried this with Sparrow, and the hoop over the contact, when it was there, she did run down. As soon as it was gone, it was not. She stopped using it, and she reverted to form. I've also used mat methods, where you teach them that you have a mat or a contact on the dog walk that the dog has to run over. That was very hit and miss with Sparrow. I did lots. I think I spent a year trying to work with that with Sparrow, and she really did not understand the concept of running on the mat. I did it on the flat, so I did a lot of work on the flat, and if it was in front of her, she'd run across it. But any time it moved to the side or that, she didn't understand that I have to run across that mat to get my reward. It just didn't compute for Sparrow. She was too busy thinking, well, I've got a ward over there. If I run a straight line, I get it. We then transferred it to the dog walk, and it still was not really working. So long story short, I've used a lot of methods out there, and I've now gone to a stage where I tend to use a more naturalistic approach with the dogs, and that I've explained with all my criteria, where instead of having something on the dog walk that they have to use as a target, or which shapes them to do the behaviour, so they're not actually learning to do something, they're just following a condition that's been placed on the dog walk. I now tend to work on the theory that I want them to understand that they have to run down smoothly. And certainly with Swift and Magpie, I'm now working on the basis that we are starting relatively low. We're just looking at the behaviour that they can perform without any target or lure or shaping device. That being said, there is a place for these sorts of methods. The mat, the hoop, and even the running methods. They are feasible methods. I mean, they all work together. The problem is, a lot of these methods, they teach a dog a certain behaviour that they can't then transfer to the actual dog walk when it isn't there. They become a crutch for the dog to rely on, and as soon as that's gone, they don't transfer it. Now, some dogs are very good at transferring behaviours. It is said that border collies are very good at transferring behaviours, but not all dogs are. And in that sense, that method doesn't necessarily work for them, because they can't, it's not they're being stupid, they just can't transfer it. They understand perhaps that when the mat is there, I put my feet on the mat, but as soon as the mat is gone, well, maybe they're looking for the mat to think to themselves, well, where is this mat? Or they just go, well, it's not there, I'll just run down. They're not learning the behaviour. So I'm not saying don't try these methods, and I certainly have tried a lot of these methods, but be aware that they might not be teaching what you think they're teaching. They can give a false impression of success. So you can go, well, my dog does it beautiful. I have the mat on at home, my dog does it beautiful. And then you take the mat off when you're in competition, and suddenly you've got no dog walk and you say, well, hang on a minute, that dog is doing it perfect at home. But it's taking that piece of the puzzle away, and dogs are very sensitive to small things that are channeling their behaviour to be a certain way. I haven't mentioned stride regulators. They're another way that you can perhaps potentially help a dog to learn their contact. With the stride regulators, you have something like a pole or perhaps a piece of soft foam, roll foam. It goes across at a certain point on the dog walk, and the idea is as the dog comes down, they see the strider, they naturally adjust their feet for the strider, and then they have to hit the contact, because if they're coming there, the strider is there, they're going to step over and hit the contact. So then you reward them, yes, well done. Again, we have this situation where potentially the dog only learns to do that with the strider. With the strider, we're actually trying to teach a muscle memory. So we're trying to teach that that is what you always do on the contact. So they get so used to doing that, they won't even think about not doing it when the strider is absent. I have had also some experiences with Sparrow and striders, in the sense that Sparrow has very little understanding of what they are, and if she misjudges because she's not looking at them properly, she stands on them, she knocks them, or she completely leaps over them and goes down there. So they are very hit and miss with Sparrow as well, but that isn't everything. What I'm getting at is there's lots of tools, but are they the right tools for your dog, and are they actually helping you to achieve something? So I'm going to show you what I am now doing with my dogs, which is a method that a lot of people are now tending to work towards, and that hopefully gives the dog a sound understanding of what the criteria for the behaviour actually is, rather than giving them an understanding of what a target and a lure is. And I would argue this could be a similar thing for when you're looking at stop dog walk, stop contacts, but that's another situation because I don't do them apart from on my seesaw, and that's a different matter. So I just wanted to give you an overview, and with my way I'm training at the moment, you're not going to need any of these devices. You're not going to need a hoop, you're not going to need a mat, you're not going to need a strider, none of this stuff. But if you come to a point and you think, my dog isn't quite there, and you think they could be useful for your dog, do try them. There is no reason why you shouldn't try them. And I think I'm always open to experimenting and seeing, this isn't quite right, how can I improve it? And that is how I'm learning and adapting my running contacts. You don't have to be a slave to a method. You can look at it and say, that's not quite right, maybe if I do this. For instance, the mat work I'm talking about. Though I don't use it on the contact anymore as a target, I can actually see there is a benefit to using mat work on ground to teach a certain footwork behaviour, and we'll talk about that in another lesson, how I can see that as something you can do at home. And that's especially useful if you don't always have regular access to a dog walk, because you can then use that to proof running behaviour and stride behaviour that you can then try transferring it to your dog walk. So it's an avenue, and certainly in the winter time when I have to put my dog walk away, it's something I can keep working with to keep up the dog's understanding of what they're going to be doing when the dog walk returns. So I just want you to be aware of that, and to say there's lots of options out there. So I hope this video has made sense, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon. And if you have liked this, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram. We also now have a page on Buy Me a Coffee, so if you want to become a member and get a few extra goodies, you can do that. But I'll hope to see you all again very, very soon.